Good evening, Wilmington. The Joint Finance and Economic Development and Public Safety meeting is now called to order. I am Chair of the Finance Committee, Chris Johnson from the 7th District. And to my right is,
I am Councilwoman Yolanda McCoy, 6th District, Public
Count-
Safety Chair.
Councilwoman Xanthi Oliver, 3rd District, Vice Chair of Public Safety.
okay? All right, this time I'll also recognize other members of the, both committees. So we have the Finance and also Public Safety Committee. So we have, I'm gonna do the finance role first, and then Councilwoman McCoy will do the public safety portion. Do we have Vice Chair Harley?
Yes, present.
All right. Councilmember Bracy at large.
Present.
Councilmember Field, 8th District.
Present.
Councilmember Spadola at large.
Present.
Council President Congo.
Here.
Okay. All right, and now I'll hand it off to my co-chair, McCoy.
Okay, thank you. Let me see. Councilwoman Darby, are you present?
She's online in the other room. I think WITN is still moving her over.
Present.
Okay, thank you. And Councilman Mills,
Present.
all right?
All right, so, and I'll also like to recognize other members of City Council in attendance. I do see Councilmember Brigida Fields present. I would like to recognize her. And then I don't know, Marshall, is there anyone else online who hasn't been recognized?
Did Councilman Field? Did you?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
then
okay.
everybody's-
All right.
okay, thank
And anyone that comes in, please let me or Marshall or Co-Chair McCoy know so we can make sure you're recognized. All right, we do have somewhat of a lengthy agenda, so let's just cut right to it. This is the first meeting of the year, 2024, so we have a lot going on in the city, so we're glad you're tuning in at home. And the way we're gonna go tonight is that we're gonna do the finance agenda items first, okay? And similar to how Finance Committee goes, those matters pertaining to finance, only finance members will be motioning and voting on those items. And then for the public safety portion, Co-Chair McCoy will run that portion of the meeting. And then same thing, the members of the Public Safety Committee will make sure that they vote and also move and second for those. And if you're on both committees, then you get to stay for both. So I'll just cut to it. So item number 1 on the agenda is the finance item. It is an ordinance constituting amendment number 2 to the fiscal year 2024 operating budget, which is regarding, the changes are regarding ambulance service. So with that matter, we have Chief Looney and his leadership, so thank you for joining us. And also, I believe we have someone from St. Francis as well. So Chief, if you could introduce them and then dive right into it.
To my left is Chief Scott Bundick. He's the Chief of EMS for St. Francis Hospital, Trinity Healthcare.
Okay, all right, Chief.
All right.
Okay.
I'm not sure, was Chief
Oh,
of Staff
it's
on?
Chief of Staff Washington. I apologize.
Yes.
I didn't know you were on Zoom. So
Not
I'll
a
let you lead
problem.
off and then go to Chief.
Yes,
Okay.
so
It works well.
if you don't mind, I like to open it up and then I'll turn it over to Chief Looney and Chief Scott Bundick. First, let me say good evening to Chairs McCoy and Johnson and all council members. And I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. Hopefully it's happy and prosperous for 2024. So let me just go ahead and get right into it. The ordinance that you have before you actually would approve a 3.5 million transfer out of the tax stabilization reserve account to cover the cost of continued ambulance service. So that's the basic gist of it. Chief Looney can go into the particulars as to why we're here. Broadly speaking, the contract for Trinity Health St. Francis It ended in October. We did issue an RFP, and Trinity Health was the only response to that RFP. So I'll let Chief Looney take it from there.
Good evening. Thank you, Chief of Staff. As the Chief of Staff indicated, at the end of October, the contract for the emergency ambulance service did expire. We placed RFPs, requests for proposals out. First, we did it twice because of the first time around, we only had one contractor submit. So we placed out another RFP, and once again, it was Trinity Health was the only contractor that submitted. The contract is for the 911 emergency ambulance service. Just to give you a quick, overview of what I'm talking about. Currently, we have 5 units that work 24/7. That's through St. Francis. Now, what the ambulance service is it's a vital service for the city of Wilmington. It's a critical component of our public safety. And with this contract, we work hand in hand with Trinity Health, Newcastle County paramedics, on a daily basis with emergencies that are called into the 911 center. The fire department does respond to once these these incidents are of severity. We respond with them and we render care. But the big thing with St. Francis is we need that transportation component, on scene. All of our, all the employees on the ambulance, they're all trained to a national level, just like our firefighters. They're trained to the National Emergency Medical Technician, nationally certified. Once we put the RFP, we've received the contract from Trinity Health. It was reviewed. And with that, there was a proposed total cost of $3.5 million for the service. Right now, this is a critical time because we have to move on this, so there's no interruption in service. I can turn it over to Scott Bundick. He can add a little more, maybe explain the cost of service in a little more detail.
Good evening, members of council. So the $3.5 million represents the direct cost of delivering the service to the city Wilmington residences. We also, in our proposal, had proposed a quarterly reconciliation, which would allow $3.5 million would be the maximum amount that the city would spend, but the idea would be here is through internal cost savings, better collection through billing, and some other things that may be able to produce additional revenue that we would not have to utilize the full amount. One of the challenges that we have with providing this service is 56% of the folks that we pick up either are self-pay, which do not end up paying for the service, or are Medicaid managed care recipients, which are very low paying insurance, less than $20 per run. And what happens is these folks are large users of the system, and they're the most vulnerable in our society, obviously. And we've tried to manage that the best we can through the last few years, but no matter what we do, it just doesn't seem like that we're able to not come to council or have a proposal that isn't zero bid as we have in the past. St. Francis Trinity Health in the last 4-year contract period had a net loss of $9 million for the entire contract, that entire life of that contract. So I know this is a big ask, immediately coming to council after this has been a zero bid, but it represents just the direct cost, salaries, supplies, fuel, maintenance to vehicles, and our bid also had the safety net in for the city to build in that that's the maximum. You know, if we go over that, then that's on us, but if it's under that, we're gonna return the savings back to the city.
Chief, either chief, I really want to delve into the timeline. I understand we were out of contract since October. When did St. Francis, at least in Britain, give written confirmation that they would go from a 0 bid to a $3.6 million bid?
Well, we never received, we're just now getting the 3.5 million, but we were notified back in August that they were looking to not, renew the contract. But then we had discussions with their CEO, Trinity Health, and through those discussions, we put out the RFP, and they did submit a proposal.
And follow-up question, Chief Looney, when were the 2 RFPs put
I'd have
out?
to check. I know the last one, it went out in the end of November, and it was returned to December 12th.
And and just also, lastly, and I may have some follow-up questions after this, but what is the actual, I've actually read the contract line by line, that's what I like to do. And I understand the reconciliation piece in there, but what is the actual price per run? Do we have a standardized price per run? Because I understand that Medicaid billing may be separate, but do we have a proposed figure? Because the contract, if you look at the term language, is actually, does not define what is actually, we're charged per run. So is there a price we can negotiate with St. Francis, say, $150, $300 a run, or something like that? Is that something that either you, Chief Looney, going to St. Francis, can work out?
Is that, I'd have to refer that
We'd have to
question
talk to
him.
the finance folks to see how that would look, because everything right now is based off of the actual cost, the direct cost of the service, and not per run. Or are you asking what is an actual cost per run? What do we charge
Correct.
per run?
Do we have an approximate figure? Chief Burdick?
Yes, I think I have something like that here. If you just give me a moment to look.
Chairman Johnson,
Yes.
no one can hear you too when you're speaking.
I don't know if
Okay,
it's a problem
now,
with-
now I can hear it, okay.
Okay.
Now.
All right. So yes, the price per run, do you have that, Chief Burdick?
I'm looking it up right now. I don't have it. The
that'd be
problem is
helpful.
we're gonna have to give you an average price per run, because it changes based off of mileage and and the supplies that were used on a run. So that's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay. That leads me to one more question. If council did not approve the 3.6, but say, 1.5 or 1.8, due to budget constraints, is that something that St. Francis would be able to work within those costs outlined?
The 3.5 is all right now for our direct cost. I mean, it would have to be for a reduced term, not for a year, if it's any less than that.
Got it. Okay. All right, we'll now kick it to members of the committee, if they have any questions. Councilmember?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, you said the second RFP went out in November. When was the first one?
I'd have to check my notes. I do believe it was in,
Turned on this day.
October 10th. So it went out 10 days. The first one went out, we'll say October 1st, 10-day turnaround. It was October 10th is when that one closed.
Can you give me a little history? I know a little bit about the firefighters. You still have the M&Ts with them. Could you just give me a little brief overall that I know back years ago, the paramedics work with the fire. Could you tell me just,
Sure.
I mean, briefly, I don't need long,
Sure.
because I know a little bit.
Okay. Just to give you the magnitude and the amount of runs that the city of Wilmington, that occur, just this past year, it was over 20,000 EMS runs. And when I say EMS, I'm talking about emergency medical services. Within those 20,000, over 20,000 runs, approximately 16,000 patients were transported to our area medical facilities. To get back into your question, we work, like as I indicated earlier, we work with Newcastle County paramedics. We work side by side with Trinity Health. What takes place is when I call 911, all right, I'm having a medical emergency. The Newcastle County 911 Center, they're trained as emergency medical dispatchers, okay? And they have a program, they have questions and answers that they go through. And as they're going through that code, as they go through, it's either the severity will start to increase, okay? So here we are, we're coming down. I'll give you an example, chest pains. I'm having chest pains. They go through all the criteria, all the questions they have to ask. So now we're gonna get dispatched. St. Francis Ambulance is gonna respond. The Wilmington Fire Department will respond with an engine because we have, as I said, we have EMTs trained to the national standard. Along with that, Newcastle County paramedics, they're responding to that same incident. But when they get there, they're doing advanced life support care. But they're in trucks. They're not in transport capability units. St. Francis, when they get there, that's one of their focuses also. Other than assisting with rendering care, they're also the main transport unit to our healthcare facilities.
Right, as a follow-up, it's to my understanding, years ago, the city used to have some paramedics, that work with the fire department, but that's no
No,
longer.
we never had, ma'am, we
Okay.
never had paramedics. Years
Okay.
ago, we did have an ambulance in service.
Ambulance in service.
In
Okay, that's
service,
what I
and
was
that
trying to
was
get to.
probably 30 years ago when I joined the department.
Okay, as a follow-up,
Yes, please.
just to be clear, the billing issue with St. Francis, they're not collecting the money. You're saying because it's Medicaid, individuals with Medicaid or low income, so they haven't been able. And how long has this been going on? Because this happened during COVID, or, I mean,
We noticed a greater deduction starting in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. And part of that could be related to what they call the payer mix. And what I mean by that is all the people we transport, some of them have commercial insurance, some of them have Medicare, some of them have Medicaid. We've seen that payer mix change dramatically since 2020, whereas we see more of the self-pay, which are folks without insurance, and then we also see this more of Medicaid managed care. And I do have, when we have a second, an answer to Mr. Johnson's question.
the follow-up.
Yes,
So
please.
this happened, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this has been declining since 2020, and St. Francis hasn't put a commission together to try to figure out, because you can see this decline going down, because this is 2023, 24, and no one never thought to, because the city has never been in this predicament to pay. I mean, I know in the future, the past, I know Jim said they paid money before, but never this amount of money. I guess my next question wouldn't be for you. I guess it would be for Chief of Staff. Tanny,
Yes.
I'm sorry, not Chief of Staff, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You have a question for her?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Tanny, my question for you is that have we tried to get some money maybe from the governor of Newcastle County? Just a question, because this is a large amount of money to come and ask city council for. I'm just wondering.
I think going forward, that's definitely a possibility because, and I've shared this with Councilmember Johnson and McCoy, and actually was in the letter that I sent to City Council, that we're going to attempt to bring this service in-house. And so that'll be a part of our proposed FY25 budget, And as a result, I do believe that there's funding available at the state level to kind of offset some of this cost. And I don't want to say to a large degree, I don't know what that really looks like. Chief Looney would probably know the intricacies of all that, but we are going to bring it in-house.
Okay. Excuse me, okay. No, I just wanted, then I'm done after this.
No problem.
I mean, I'm just saying, but no, I understand this, the severity of this, because we do have, I've checked, it's close to 1,500 employees, a little more of St. Francis, and a lot of them do live in the city. I just was wondering, were we trying to reach out to some other entities?
Yes, we've had conversations with Newcastle County and the state.
All right, thank you very much. Co-Chair McCoy?
Okay, thank you. Chief Brundick and also Chief Looney, I would just like to know, when did Trinity decide that it would no longer carry this cost?
We were notified in August.
Well, we were notified in August, but when did Trinity decide that they were no longer?
It was roughly at the same point.
Okay, all right, and the reason why I asked is it's kind of what, Councilman Oliver stated, because this only gives us 2 to 3 months to make a decision, and we had no opportunity to try to recruit or, to have any type of conversations or partner with anyone. So it's kind of left us in a loss right there. The other question is, 3.5 is what you're asking, and you're stating that, I do realize from that the conversation that we had with Chief of Staff, she made us aware that you guys are only collecting about 10% of your costs. 90% of a loss is what you were taking.
I don't have the exact percentage,
okay.
but I mean, she had all the numbers.
Okay. So that was kind of what was actually stated at the meeting. So what I had asked was, if we are giving up 3.5 million, what happens to that 10% that is actually still being collected? And I was told that there's going to be some type of conversation about collecting, and if they collect anything more than 5%, it will be returned to the city. I just wanted to make certain it was that, because I did not read the whole contract.
That's listed in the that is listed in the
Okay,
contract,
good.
yes.
Okay, good. All right. I think the other thing is I just wanted to make certain that an initial startup costs way more than what it would cost to maintain and to sustain it. Had we had this conversation, past just this point of getting past these first 12 months to figure out what it would cost to have an EMS here in our city that we would have to pay for. Because the first year, of course, is going to cost more than that because we have to have so much equipment. But is 3.5 enough for us to sustain our own EMS on an annual basis?
We have been planning, and we've been putting a plan together. I don't have all the figures with us right now because it's still being discussed with all the different department heads that are going to have to play a role in this. I would suspect, yes, it would be less after initial.
All right, thank you very much, Chief Looney.
Chairpersons, if I may.
Yes, Chief of Staff.
Yeah, so just to bring you up to speed, we had a budget meeting, a preliminary budget meeting on this very issue today with all parties involved on the capital cost, the billing agent, and trying to get our arms around what that operating unit will look like. So we are moving, forward with this, and we're trying to get those numbers as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Chief of Staff. All right, I'm going to now turn to the members virtually. Councilmember Spadola, I had you down first, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it seems like we're in between a rock and a hard place, and that if we want EMS services to continue, we need to continue this contract with St. Francis. But if I'm hearing Chief of Staff Washington correctly, it sounds like after this year, we're going to end our relationship with St. Francis, assuming that it makes sense to do so and bring this in-house. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's correct.
And then for the St. Francis chief, is there any, are they okay with that? Are they going to compete for our business to prevent us from doing that? Or are we shaking hands and saying goodbye?
I mean, I don't think there's any way to compete. The municipality provides the service. I mean, we would have to separate ways amicably.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, and then Vice Chair Harley?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Most of the questions that I had have already been asked and answered. But what I want to be clear on is this. When there are these types of critical decisions that need to be made, I'm hoping that as we move forward that we have update meetings to make City Council aware. From what I'm hearing, these conversations started back in August, and here we are in January. So I think that there was plenty of time to make council aware that this is a priority and that this is what is being worked on and being discussed versus us hearing about it the week of it coming to council and being on the committee agenda. I know we have to move forward and I understand the criticality of it, but I hope going forward that we can be more inclusive in terms of these real urgent types of conversations and discussions that are going on as it relates to our constituents. My other question is this: if this Trinity had not decided to pick up this contract, wouldn't we still be paying the same amount of money? And I'm asking that question because was there an opportunity to put this in our budget in June? I'm just thinking, regardless of whether they continue versus them decided not to carry the contract, wouldn't these dollars also have to have been put in the budget?
Can I answer that?
Yes, Chief of Staff.
So when you're talking about, let me just start from the beginning. So the notice to council. So we did brief chairpersons McCoy and Johnson, and we tried to brief council leadership. A couple of those meetings were canceled, even the one last week, which prompted me to send out the letter to everyone. But we did make an attempt to notice council about this. And I think that actually we've had a preliminary conversation about it early on. In terms of having this budgeted in this budget, the one that we're in right now, FY24, their contract did not even end until October, and we weren't noticed about Trinity not continuing the service until August. So we tried to do our best to act quickly as we possibly could in getting this out to bid, and we find ourselves here. So, I don't need to convince you that this is a critical service. So we're just going to do our best to make sure that, going forward for FY25, that we put all the measures in place where we can actually take this on in the city.
Well, thanks for that response. And no, I don't have to be convinced because clearly, I know this is a critical service that is needed. But again, I think back in August or September, a letter could have gone out to the Finance Committee, and at least we all would have known. You did mention you tried, I guess within the last week or two, but it just really feels as though that, we're being put on the spot, trying to answer questions, understand what's going on when we could have been made aware of this back in August. And I'm hoping again that as we move forward that we are updated on a more regular basis on more critical issues and topics like this going forward. That's all I have, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair. I know Co-Chair McCoy has a question, but oh, all right. You know what? Let's go to public comment first. Let's go to public comment first, then we'll come back for a last round of questions. So, anybody here for public comment on this contract? Is everyone in line?
No hands up.
Okay. All right. Now I'm turning back to council for final comments and questions. So first I'll start with members in person. Co-Chair McCoy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So my question is for Chief of Staff, and I do remember asking this question, but you have to forgive me, I may not have seen the answer on an email. The question was about where the funds were going. One of the issues was that we were gonna put it in the contingent reserves for the mayor's office, and I felt as though I felt as though it should go into WFD's lines. And I just wanted to know where we were with that.
So you're right. Initially, when we slated it to go into contingent reserves, and that's where it's going to go this time as well, we weren't sure whether we could put the infrastructure in place to take this on ourselves. Obviously, we can't do that. So once the funds go into contingent reserves, it's going to be transferred over to the fire department.
Oh, so the fire department will eventually.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, that does make me feel more at ease.
All right, I guess the last question I have is, Chief of Staff Washington, is really about the length of the contract. Is there any adverse reaction to a 6-month lead contract instead of a 1 year? Again, maybe we can have more talks offline, but it's just this is a lot.
Right.
It's a big
And
pill
so
for us to swallow, and you know.
I agree. And we had that very conversation with the head of Trinity Health, and they were not open to having a 6-month long contract. We did ask that very question. So at this point, it's really just not negotiable according to, the higher ups. They just weren't open to a 6-month agreement. We did ask that though.
And then again, the follow-up question for you, Chief Burdick. In terms of moving out of this, so if the city of Wilmington moves back into this game, what happens to all your employees who currently provide EMS services? Are you going to just be potentially
It could be
phasing them out?
Well, I mean, Trinity Health would most likely sever them, provide them with some sort of a severance package, and they would be national registered EMTs. I don't have any idea what the fire department would want for somebody, if they have an EMS bureau or they're going to be firefighters, EMTs. I don't know. Maybe some of those people could be potential hires for the fire department. I mean, I don't want to put the chief on the spot for that, but I mean, there's that possibility, I guess. But there are plenty of EMS jobs out there. There's a shortage of EMTs when it comes to EMS jobs. So, I mean, I imagine some of them would land on their feet and be okay. A good number of folks that work for us, this is a stepping stone job. They work here for a year or two while they're doing their pre-med. Most go in to become physician assistants, doctors, and nurses, and then they move on. Just working in this type of environment looks good on the resume, and great employees because they're looking forward to the future. But there's a lot unknown in that without knowing all what that landscape's going to look like.
Okay. All right, Chief. And only request again is not for tonight, but council would like to be involved in meeting with the St. Francis leadership team, because I know for me personally, it gives me heartache to talk about transitioning anybody out of a good, dependable job, whether they're a city or non-city worker. So I just think there needs to be a plan of what we're doing with the department, and St. Francis should be involved. Is there transition services we can offer them to come into the fire department? There's a lot there. So that's all we're asking, Chief, is for us to be, because as far as I know, council leadership has not been involved, but we want to be involved because we want to help. So that's all we're asking.
But the administration and the fire department and us have all been very close in talking and having lots of conversations about different things. So I wouldn't see that there would be any roadblock to having that kind of conversation.
Perfect. Thank you. And same for you, Chief. We just want, I know a lot of things happen, but, Vice Chair Hartley does have a point. We're coming at the trail end, and, we have to be able to sell this. Because if we're talking about cutting other services at budget time, finding money from the city, we have to sell this to constituents of Wilmington. So, that's all I'm asking, that we be involved in the next rounds as we talk about what this new department looks like.
Very
Um,
good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then I will turn it to,
I have a question.
okay, Councilmember Oliver?
Yeah, I guess I want to make a statement. I do agree with Councilman Johnson. This is a big bite. And also, Councilman Johnson, and some other council member, we talked about if we are going to be training some MNTs for the city of Wilmington, you know, we will hope that some of them, you know, that would, if we're going to, if the administration is talking about maybe taking over, we would like some residents from the city of Wilmington to take that training class, and hopefully, as you stated, a lot of MNTs move to other positions, but we should set up a training class, even however, if it comes to y'all, whoever, so we could train some individuals from the city of Wilmington to be involved with these jobs that may be coming through the fire department. To my understanding, if it was 20, 30 years ago, they used to work for the city through the fire department, so that might be something we want to talk about sooner than later. As Councilman Hardy said, this should be a partnership and not just one-sided. So hopefully, we're looking for some MATs. We will have a discussion in advance and not at the last minute about finding some individuals. Some of your people may want to train them or however it goes, but I just think that should be a conversation. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And Councilmember Spadola?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. This is for Chief of Staff Washington. Why is the money coming from the tax stabilization fund, and why not ARPA funding for this?
There is no more ARPA funding. The ARPA funding's been exhausted, so we really don't have a choice but to take money out of our reserve account.
I thought there was still unencumbered funds as part of that 8 million for public safety.
No, that is dedicated under contract to the other organizations. So we have nowhere near $3.5 million in ARPA funds at all.
Okay.
All right, Vice Chair Harley? Have you up next?
Yes, Mr. Chair. My last question is this. Unless it's out of scope, is there any possibility for Newcastle County to be a part of this discussion and conversation as it relates to partnering with funding? Maybe this is just a Wilmington thing, I don't know, but is there any opportunity for us to engage them in the conversation to be able to get funding from them?
I mean, like I've said, we have had discussions with Newcastle County, not so much around them giving the city funding, but, just by way of discussing the service around the city of Wilmington. But as I stated before, I believe there will be additional funds, and Chief Looney, you can chime in, from the state once we take this service on ourselves.
Correct. There will be what we call BLS provider money that would be received to the city. It's for basic life support for all departments that deliver that service. Also, with third-party billing and EMS medical insurance funding that comes in through the state. Once you enter into this service, that opens up. We would have to have discussions with those in the state government, but we would have to, be approved and put into that system.
Thank you.
I don't have figures for you. I just don't have that. It's, I can't even really give you an estimate right now, but it is obviously, revenue that would come to the city.
Great, thank you.
Very well. All right. Any other questions from members of council? Okay. All right. Seeing none, this is an ordinance, so it does need to be formally voted out of committee to full council for a vote. At this time, I entertain a motion to move ordinance 24-001 out of finance committee to full council for a vote. Is there a second?
Yes. Second.
Okay. All right. It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. The ayes have it, and ordinance 24-001 has passed committee and will be a full council for a vote. I do not know which council meeting that will be on, so I
January 18th.
Okay. January 18th looks like the date. Thank you very much, Ms. Bassnight. All right. And with that, thank you very much, Chief Burdick and Chief Looney.
Thank you all.
Um,
Thank you.
You're
Thank
certainly
you.
free to go.
Thank you.
You don't have any other matters, or it's up to you.
I'll be
Thank
sticking
you.
around. We have a resolution.
Okay, you have something else. All right, perfect.
Commencing Academy.
Huh?
That's my side.
That's yours? You wanna do
Yeah,
that?
all right, wait, okay.
So you can
I
just,
mean, are we allowed to switch from back and forth
Yeah.
between committees? Okay, all right then.
Mike, we'll
Okay.
go into the public safety portion briefly.
Just
and jump back.
briefly, want to make certain that things are convenient. All right, so we do have a resolution regarding the Wilmington Fire Department commencing an academy class. Chief Looney, if you'd like to speak to this matter?
Yes, ma'am. We're currently 7 firefighters down with an 8 firefighter in the next month or so. So that brings us to our 95% of our authorized strength. We're looking to commence our hiring, advertising, hopefully by the first week of February. From there, we're looking for an academy in the next, we'll say 3 months. And normally when we hire, we always go 5 over. That's always traditionally what we've done, just because of any resignations, any retirements. So we're looking right now at approximately 14 firefighter EMTs. We will be out, out and about throughout the city, doing our recruitment, our social media page that we have strictly for our recruitment. We'll have the opportunity, once we get approval and applications go live, they can get applications off our recruitment webpage or the city webpage. For those that are listening, our webpage that we manage is WilmingtonDEFirecareers.com.
Repeat that.
Wilmington DEFirecareers.com, all one word. And on there, you'll see it'll have, you'll have the opportunity to put in an interest card, and then once the applications go live, we'll have a link on there that you can go right in and, complete your application. There's also there's videos explaining our physical agility test, the job itself. We have multiple of our men and women that we videoed, that are on there. There's a lot of pictures of, what we do day in and day out that are on that webpage to kind of, recruit those individuals in.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else, Mr. Looney? I'm sorry, Chief Looney.
No, ma'am.
Okay, Councilman Oliver, you had a question?
Yes, Chief, quick question. Do you have any remaining applications of individuals, recruits who tried to get on prior and maybe they needed to do a little bit more work that y'all work with them or things of that nature? I guess pending applications that you may reach out to, opposed to starting over.
Sure. We've, our last class that we hired, prior to that, those that, made it down to the chief's interview but did not get selected, we actually did reach out to them to encourage them to apply again. And we had a handful that did.
That's it.
That's it? Okay. All right, thank you. Did anyone else have any questions? Okay. All right, Councilman Spinola.
Thank you. Chief, do you anticipate any hiring difficulties, or do you think you'll be able to hire the 14 or 15 you're looking for, no problem?
I'm very confident we'll be able to hire the 15. We have an excellent reputation as a fire department in the city setting, in an urban setting. I don't foresee any issues. Last time around, we had approximately 240 applications, and we've improved some of our recruitment methods, and we're gonna stick to the plan. It worked for us the last 2 academies. We're very proud of the academies that we have put out, the guys and girls in the diverse group of those academies. We're very proud of that.
Thank you.
One last question.
Okay. Councilman Spinola, was there anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Oliver?
Yes, Chief, I know you had some issues with some minority recruitings. How is it coming along now?
Well, we're going to go to all of our, you know, our colleges, you know, the Dell State, the Dell Techs, the University of Delaware, the Wilmington University. We're going out to our military, you know, the National Guard. There's a multitude of places that, or facilities that we've done recruitment in.
When you say
I tell you, one of the big things, we'll be putting billboards up throughout the city, and actually, that worked very well for us, along with all of our Facebook and Instagram and all that.
have you, follow up?
Yes.
Have you reached out to some of the high schools, maybe Howard, maybe Christiana? I mean,
Yes,
just
ma'am.
various.
We do go to our high schools around here, because you can be 18 to get on the department. We do reach out to the schools. We, you know, deliver flyers. If they want us to talk, we try to get in there so that we can have an opportunity, you know, to meet with those young men and women that are seniors.
Who is the person, if I wanted to send an email, that handles the recruitment? Because I work closely
I
with
would
Howard,
just-
so maybe I can see.
I would just send it to me, because there's several people that's on this recruitment team, and then I can just, you know, push it out from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Chief. Yes, Councilman.
And Chief Looney, just as a comment, at least I can speak on behalf of councils that, you know, WITN, please make sure that, you know, the offer is out there to use
Yes.
WITN, as we will, as council, we always try to help, but we want to help the best way we can. And also, I know I can't speak for council president. We do a 2024 council fitness challenge. So if you would like to invite me or council president or other members to participate in part of the academy, once you get an academy, I would love to do it.
Sure,
You know,
Sure, and we have used WITN in the past,
Yes.
several times.
All right, Chief, we have our president, council president, would like to ask a question.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief. Chief, approximately, well, you know, how many firefighters are currently with the city right now?
Currently, our authorized strength is 156, and we're currently at 149.
Okay, out of that 149, what's the percentage of Black and Hispanic firefighters? Do you know?
I don't have that number offhand. I can get that information for you, sir.
Okay, I'd appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Actually, I did have a question also. When was the last time we had a graduating class, the academy class?
That was last year. We had the graduation took place in March, end of March. And we graduated 21 guys? 20 firefighter EMTs.
Okay, thank you. Now, will you be partnering with the other city as well for the academy?
We will offer that to them. We've built a very good relationship with the city of Chester. They've relied on us now for 2 academies to bring some of their recruits in. So we will reach out to them again.
Okay. So with the, now, you may not remember the number for President Congo for the exact number of Black and brown firefighters for 149, but you may still know the number for the minorities, both and women, for the 20 that graduated last March. Would you recall?
I'd have to check the records. We
That's
had,
terrible. You should know that. Out of 20?
I mean, well, it's been a while. It's been more than a year.
it's over a year.
I'm about to say, as I was trying to pull up a
My
picture.
staff, you want to?
Is anybody
in.
here that can tell us then?
We believe it was 7.
Right, come on, you act like it was 200 people. So what's the answer? He said 7.
Yeah, about 7. Thank you.
Well, we can get, I will forward the numbers.
All right, thank you.
Good.
All right, so yeah, I
Seven
didn't,
women?
no, that was 7 minorities. That is men and
Can he
people of
send you
color.
an email? Can you just-
Yes, well, we're going to be waiting on an email to give us that exact information. Yes, okay. Councilman Harley, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. My question is to the chief. Are we trying to recruit with all schools, district schools, charter schools, and Catholic schools?
Yes, ma'am. Due to the fact that 18 years of age is the hiring date, we do send information out to all those schools.
Great. Okay. I was just wanting to know. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, thank you, Councilman Hardy. So if there's nothing else, does we have anyone in the
I
public?
have
who's-
my hands up.
Okay, Councilman Darby, you have a question?
Yeah, I have two questions. One question is about actual retention. So out of the 20 that came through the last class, how many are still with the fire department?
Within this last class, we've had
Yeah.
three resignations from this last class. They went to other departments outside of Wilmington.
Why did they leave?
I'm not sure why they left. Some of them went to bigger departments, DC, Baltimore City.
Is our pay competitive now? Since you got what?
Yes, ma'am. With our last CBA, our collective bargaining agreement, I would have to say yes. There was a considerable increase in pay, and we are definitely on par with others around us.
Okay. I have one more question. I'm sorry.
Yes, you may. Find
It's about for recruitment. The fire department does not have like any other public safety group. Like I'm in the military, we have recruiters. Police have recruiters. The fire department does not have a recruiter. So
No, ma'am.
if you can explain to city council how you guys create your recruitment team, who is considered on that, and who can be on it, and who can't be on your recruitment team.
And we do not have a dedicated recruitment team, just because, I mean, we don't have the manpower. So a lot of our members that are on what we call admin staff, those up in the fire marshal's office, and just like last class, we did have a committee. We did meet. We put a memorandum out, those that were interested. And we would plan from there, get a calendar together, different events that we need to attend, and we would allow those to attend. So.
And I just have one more follow-up question.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
know what's really important in regards to recruitment too, is having a diverse recruitment team.
Correct.
And what that looks like. So I know specifically people like to see themselves. So one of the reasons I'm not even gonna lie, I joined the military, I had a black recruiter. I was like, oh, black people in here, we in here, right? So it gave me a different perspective and light than that. So just understanding that your recruitment team has to be diverse, and we know the leadership team is lacking that. So like, how are you guys diversifying your leadership, your actual recruitment team that you guys have?
As I stated, we put a memorandum out. Some of those that were on the recruitment team for the last class over a year ago, they will be contacted, and the team itself was diverse. Several black males, Hispanic males.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I was like, huh? Okay, is there anyone, do we have anyone from the public that had anything to say or had any questions or comments? Okay, no one on Zoom either has a hand up? All right. Okay, so that is actually a resolution. It does not require to be voted out of committee. Will this resolution be on January 18th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So this resolution will come to the full floor on January 18th. Thank you very much for your time, Chief Looney.
Thank you, all council members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I believe that was your last matter of the evening?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you. You're in a hot seat for a little bit.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, though.
But it gets you warmed up for budget hearings, so.
Already preparing.
All right, up next, we're gonna
Back
flip
back to finance.
We're gonna flip back to the regular order of events. We're gonna have a quick update from OED, our economic team. I believe we have Director Sean Park and his team. You get introduce your team, and then also, I believe there's a PowerPoint as well, and then we can dive into it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening to the committee members. My name is Sean Park, and I am joined by Peter Weir, who is the project manager to my left, and our newest member of the Office of Economic Development, the DBE analyst, Shantae Manning. Shantae, you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Good evening, Council. My name is Shantae Manning. I'm the newest member, started on November the 13th with the department.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Great. And also, we should be joined virtually by the Small and Minority Business Development Manager, James Williams. James, are you online?
Good evening. Yes, I'm here.
Great. Okay. And now, while today's update won't specifically focus on DBE initiatives, that'll be for a follow-up DBE update to this committee. I want to at least give Shantae a chance to introduce herself as requested at the last committee meeting. And Shantae will be working closely with our office and the Department of Finance as well to advance the recommendations of the disparity study. With that, I think, Shantae, you can excuse yourself.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
And she'll be joining us in future committee meetings.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, so to
and she-
the matter at hand. My office was requested to give an economic development update, and we prepared a brief PowerPoint covering the business and physical development highlights in calendar year 2023. Can we move on to the first slide, please? So we will start with a high-level overview with general announcements before moving on to our strategic fund balance and our minority business set-aside. So first, I've listed on the map businesses that are either new to Wilmington or recently expanded in the last calendar year. Now, one observation is that we are continuing to see a demand from businesses that distribute goods and want to take advantage of our central and well-connected location along the East Coast. An example of this is Golo, which is at the very bottom of this map. Golo is located at 915 South Heald Street in South Wilmington. It's new to the city, and they sell subscription-based meals. And they announced a new cold storage and distribution warehouse with the expectation to hire 50 employees.
You said 915 South Hill Street?
Correct.
That's over South Bridge?
Correct.
Cool. Okay.
And related to the demand for distribution and warehousing, B&N Meats is located also in South Wilmington on Commerce Street. Councilmember Oliver has visited the facility with my office. And B&M Meats is a cheesesteak manufacturer that supplies sliced meats to fast food restaurants like Subway and Jersey Mike's. And they expanded in their current location on Commerce Street by purchasing the adjacent Cassidy Painting Building. And the same owners purchased additional land on the 7th Street Peninsula for a new business that they're calling Wonder Meats, which is selling the frozen meats to these fast food chains as well. So they plan to hire roughly 120 new employees and build a brand new 750,000 square foot food processing facility.
I want to make a point when you said that. I just want to be clear, that is directly across the street to my council members. And it was a rezone from that warehouse. I had to, when I see that, just think of that. Just wanted to bring that up. But go ahead. From that Southbridge warehouse that is having issues, but this side is not having issues. I wanted to bring that out. But go ahead.
Great, thank you. And lastly, just following this theme of distribution, I wanted to mention Tuskegee Aeronautical Engineering in Northeast Wilmington at the very top right of this map. It's a minority-owned business that produces aeronautical components for government agencies such as the Department of Defense.
What's that address?
I don't have the address with me at this time, but I can follow up with that, yes.
May I have say one statement? In the future, when you do this, if you could, I think you gave it to me before on the side with the addresses, could just say, so I can pretty much say what district, but when you say Northeast area, I don't know if it's on Councilman Darby's side or my side, so.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think a useful update that I can provide is just the addresses for all the businesses listed, and that way we can
It's over
easily
the
take care of it.
corner,
Yep,
okay.
yep. So I wanted to talk about a second trend that we're noticing in the city, and that's the continuation of the demand for financial service businesses. It continues to be a draw for the city, given the strong workforce that's available. The Delaware Prosperity Partnership estimates 170,000 financial service professionals in the region, which stimulates the demand for more of these businesses to come locate in our city. An example of two expansions of existing businesses include Fair Square Financial, which was bought out by Ally Bank. They executed a incentive agreement with our office in 2017, exceeded their job projections of originally 75 jobs, and they plan to add 150 employees without any additional incentives needed. So that's all additional wage tax for our city. A second expansion that was announced last year was River's Edge, which is an investment advisory firm. Started out in the riverfront, decided to relocate to a downtown location. I believe that's 600 King Street. And yeah, they're building out their new office and hope to hire 20 jobs at that location. And that was more of a retained jobs agreement. So that's our office not only works to attract new jobs and expand existing businesses for new jobs, but also retain jobs that might potentially leave the city as well. Just wanted to make that point when talking about this business. And we also rely on our state partner for businesses that are new to the state and not necessarily the city. One example that was announced last month was Novo, which is a financial tech company out of Miami, which provides a platform for small businesses to combine the checking account with services like invoicing and payroll. They're listed in the Forbes FinTech 50 list for the past 2 years. I have not seen an announcement of the number of jobs expected yet, but I expect that number to come out soon. And I just want to make a point that our state partner is very important in this task of bringing in new jobs to the city. They also helped us attract Blindsight Delaware, which is right next to the Amtrak station at the CSC station building. Blindsight Delaware is a new call center that is aiming to hire 225 workers, including those with disabilities, to operate a call center to several medical providers in the area, as well as I think the city of Wilmington has hired Blindsight as well to administer our call center services. But DPP was instrumental in attracting them to expand from Chicago to a location in Wilmington.
I'm sorry, Mr. Park.
Sure.
May I ask
Yes,
a
please.
question? What is the city, with this call center, are we using this for 311? Like, what call center are we using this as?
Yeah, 311.
Okay, so 311 has actually now been moved into the city of Wilmington.
I believe so, yes, at Blindsight.
Yes.
Thanks for telling us.
Sure.
Well, I'm glad that it moved because I did, initially I found out it was out of town and I was like, what?
They're back in.
Okay.
And then the last business I'll mention that DPP helped with attracting or retaining these jobs is Carvertise, which is a unique car advertising company that started in Wilmington. They've expanded on the riverfront, and they project to add 55 additional jobs at this location and invest roughly $1.2 million into its 15,000 square foot headquarters. So yeah, that's an important partner for us, the state, because they have access to the Council on Development Finance and relationships with the Division of Small Business and other incentives that are available outside the city. Now, for new businesses that we attracted that were already in Delaware, but the new businesses we attracted to the city include Today Media, which is listed right below Novo on the map. But they oversee local publications such as the Delaware Business Times and they're new to the city. They moved from Newcastle, and they're bringing 20 jobs to the Brandywine building. And so we executed a strategic fund agreement to attract these jobs to the city. And then the next one I'll mention
I
is.
have a question.
Sure.
Director Park. When we look at these industries, you know, I'm seeing what kind of industries they are. It's the fintech and the manufacturing. What is your department doing in terms of the law firms? 'Cause that's one of the biggest, actually one of the bigger employers in the state, in the city. Are you doing outreach to them to make sure that they stay in town, and you know, at least touching base to make sure the firms are happy?
We are. Yeah, I've taken several leads from council members on law firms that were rumored to be maybe considering leaving the city or having leases expire. Some good news is that the Leonard Williams Justice Center has announced an expansion. And there was also an announcement in the Delaware Business Times today of a major law firm moving into the city. So this is an issue that I'm aware of, and yeah, we'll keep having these conversations, but hopefully there's more of a demand for law firms in the city given these expanding buildings and organizations.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I didn't see any listed on there in the list, but, you know, and I know I've reached out when I hear about things, but it's important that, you know, that, because they're such a big employer and the wage tax we get from them.
Agreed, agreed.
All right, back to you. Thank you.
So I just wanted to mention Nerd It Now, which is a certified electronics recycler facility on 3030 Bauer Street. And we talked to them while they were still in their Newcastle location about potentially moving to the city. And after they've opened their distribution or recycling center in Bauer Street, they've subsequently opened up a downtown location for their nonprofit, Nerd It Cares, where they aim to train roughly 300 additional workforce as well. So more efforts that we've been taking to attract jobs that are in Delaware, but moving into the city. And then the last category.
Yes, Co-Chair McCoy.
Thank you. So Nerd It Cares, rather than actually having employees, it is training people to work here within the city.
Correct.
Okay. And that's approximately 300 annually or so?
That's their goal. They're still in their first year of operations, so we'll follow up. But yes, the Nerd It Now is where the employment numbers are coming from. Roughly 75 is estimated.
Well, okay, so what's the guy name again? Nudie? No. Okay. And so will the primary persons being trained, are they from Wilmington?
I believe that's the aim. That's why they chose a central downtown location. But they're not limiting students to only city participants as well.
I understand.
They want to train a wide workforce. But yeah, that's a incentive agreement that we executed to make sure that Marquivas and Nerd It Now stay in the city. It's a great story of someone who grew up in Wilmington. And then the last category of businesses I'll highlight are just neighborhood serving businesses. I just wanted to create this bucket term to encapsulate businesses like Scout Cafe, Twasame Cafe, Oath 84, Huxley and Hero, Hell's Bells, and the Juice Joint. I think given the increase in residential options in the city, there's more of a demand for these types of services. And yeah, we love to see some of these options come up for our residents and visitors. Yeah.
And I would like to thank you personally, Director Park, you and James Williams, for always staying with the small businesses in mind. I know you've helped many businesses on the west side and get startup capital and improvements. So I would say I've definitely seen a drastic increase in assistance to small businesses.
Great.
I know the Juice Joint is one that's been a long time. We've all tried to help, you know, in many different areas where the Juice Joint was. So we're really glad they have a home on the west side.
Great.
That was exciting to see them come and continue to flourish, struggle through COVID, and continue to flourish out of it. So
Right.
thank you very much.
Agreed. Thank you.
Vice Chair Harley.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I also want to ditto the remarks that Chairman Johnson just made regarding the great work that your office is doing in terms of minority businesses. As you shared your overview of the new businesses and all the businesses that you have been supporting, what about some of our businesses like Evelyn's and some of those older, smaller businesses like that? And the reason why I'm asking is because I know that council requested an additional, I guess, like $250,000 more dollars to be included in the budget in addition to what the mayor had already put in the budget. And so how's that coming along, and is there any type of, was there a specific type of process for, like, for example, like an Evelyn's to get support versus your office possibly like identifying businesses like the Juice Joint, and all of those are great. And like I said, you know, kudos to what y'all have been doing. So I'm asking on behalf of some of these smaller businesses that have been coming to me.
Great. And Councilmember Harley, we will gladly take your referrals and reach out to the businesses. We'll reach out to Evelyn's. We want to make sure that that the request kind of meets the purpose of the strategic fund as stated in the legislation, the enabling legislation, as well as the funds that are available. But I'm confident with our partners and our products and services mix that we're able to provide some type of assistance, whether it be from our strategic fund or our other partners, as we'll discuss in our next slide. But I will gladly follow up with Evelyn's on that request.
I'd like
Okay,
to,
thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a statement because I have to go. I too like to echo what Councilman Hardy stated, because I do eat at Evelyn's, and I know she's been struggling before COVID, after COVID, and I too am impressed with, you know, the businesses is coming and the money y'all putting out. I think they're doing a good job. But one thing that I heard Mayor Parker say in Philadelphia, her speech said that she doesn't want a lot of, she would like to support some of the businesses that here that are in Philly, not so many businesses that need GPSs to get around. And when she said that, it just struck me, because I'm thinking of some of these people, and I mean, and this is great, I mean, and no one's slighting any of the work you're doing, but some of these individuals who have been here for years and struggling, such as Evelyn's, as I said, I go eat there, and you might see 2 or 3 people, and sometimes she's closed because she's been struggling. And Aunt Bumpy's, I can't leave her out because I always try to go over there at least twice a week. I try to go to both of them because I know they're struggling. So it would be good to see them on the map, get some money. And I know you'll have some technical support to help individuals. And I just wanted to make that statement. I think Lena is overdue, and Evelyn is definitely overdue.
Sure.
I mean, been saying that for like 5 years now.
Yeah, and I'll make a comment that on the very last page, Lena is included. We did execute an agreement with them. We've listened to council's request, and James Williams can explain more about what that agreement entails.
Thank you.
And I think the chief of staff has her hand up.
Yes, you may be excused.
Yes, I was just gonna say, if you go 3 slides out, I think that will answer a lot of Councilmember Harley's questions, as well as Councilmember Oliver's, because it's an extensive list of that fund that council approved for additional monies and where that's going right now.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. All right. Very well. Director Parker, I believe you're on slide number.
Yeah, we'll go to
We're
the
looking
next
at the
slide.
fund.
Yeah, the next slide just is a high-level overview of residential development in the city. This is tracking that my office has done from announcements and looking through incentives like the DDD. So the units that are in develop as of January of 2024, we're tracking 20 projects with roughly 1,500 residential units that are estimated. Now, these are projects that have been announced. There's no guarantee that they will be executed, but we're at least monitoring their development. Yeah.
And this is more of an in-depth talk with the DDD. I know we've talked about this prior, even your predecessor. It's my understanding the state may be creating, or expanding the DDD again in 2025. So is there any talk or movement right now to have one actually west of 95? It's something that we've been pulling for a long time.
Right.
For we're going, we would like to see some movement on west side because there's nothing west of 95. And I can, Councilmember McCoy, Councilmember Fields here, you know, we're left in the cold.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you that this would be a wonderful incentive on the west side. Unfortunately, it's dictated by the Office of State Planning at the state level and the governor's office. The major requirement that's restricting the incentive for moving to the west side is there's a contiguous requirement, which I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah.
So unless that
Language that needs to be amended.
So unless that language can change, I don't see how the DDD can move over to the west side. But if there's an opportunity to do so, I'm happy to support
Well,
those efforts.
you actually could, and again, it's a more in-depth conversation. 4th Street is a conduit to link to the west side, but you know, again, it takes a lot of acreage. But I would like, and I think I speak for Councilmember McCoy and Fields. This will be on the agenda again, discussion of west side activity, because we've been asking for a long time. And I love the progress of the city. It's helping the whole city, but you know, we do need some action on the west side, and you know, our residents have been begging for it. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's something we are going to be asking for at a upcoming meeting. Just status updates on that. So.
Okay, well noted. Thank you.
Yep. Vice Chair Harley.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. What I wanted to say is this, as it relates to funding, I know that West Side Groves get funds and there's money being directed over to West Side Groves. Do we get the updates in these particular reports? And I do agree, you know, we should be spreading the love around, you know, the city 100%. It's just a question as it relates to West Side Groves.
Yeah, we'll include any development updates in the city with the residential number and with the total jobs number. So we have quarterly meetings with Westside Grows, so they're definitely a data source for us on what's going on the west side. And so those numbers will be included in all of these updates.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yes. Yes, Chief of Staff, Washington.
Yes, excuse me. So, Chairman Johnson, just want you to know that the administration has been in full support of expanding the DDD over into your area. And we continue to pitch this ideal to the state planning office as well as, you know, the governor and all that. But as you know, it's beyond our control, but we will continue to do the outreach and the ask. So I just wanted you to know that it's not because a lack of trying on our part.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, well, I guess I am. Now, I was gonna respond to that whole West Side Groves thing, but that's fine.
All right. All right. And Director Park, any last items on this?
I definitely I don't want to miss out covering the last 2 pages of this presentation if we're pressed for time. I just wanted to give an overview of our strategic fund as well as the activity in our set aside. So James Williams should still be on the line.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. James, you want to take a moment to go over these slides?
Yeah, absolutely. So, excuse me. Good evening, everyone. All right. So the last 2 slides we'll cover just to show the activity that we've had coming through our strategic fund. So the column that you'll see here on the screen, the column you'll see on the left is fiscal year 24 to date. So compared to fiscal year 23 total, this year we've had expenditures and encumbrances to the amount of $491,000. Whereas in all of fiscal year 23, we saw roughly $555,000. So there's definitely been an uptick in the grants, loans, and level of support that we provided to businesses here in the city. If we break it down by funds allocated to minority-owned businesses, we have expended roughly $370,000 thus far to minority-owned businesses, compared to $148,000 last year, just counting strategic fund dollars between these two. We know we had some other programs such as ARPA that through fiscal year 21 and 22 provided a lot of some additional resources that wouldn't be captured here. But we wanted to show the level of activity since we've had our infusion for fiscal year 24. So the fund balance that we have total as of January 1st of this year is $1.7, almost $1.8 million, with a pipeline of businesses that we anticipate to have at least, these are businesses that we've at least had discussions with. We have some idea, some sense of support and of agreements that we very likely will be pursuing. So that pipeline being $175,000. That doesn't mean that that's all that we expect for 24, but these are businesses we are actively working with and coming to some agreements for some level of support that would be strategic fund coming from our strategic fund, which leaves a total of roughly $1.6 million of unused or unallocated funds remaining. So any questions about this slide? On the next slide, I'll get into some more details. So I know there were some questions about some businesses. So if it's business, small business specific, we'll, if I could just ask.
Mr. Williams, I believe President Kondo has a question.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Williams, that money that has been allocated to minority businesses, is it further broken down to Black and Hispanic businesses?
Yes, I can give some details on that. So if we could move to the next slide, please.
All right, thank you.
I can't see. Oh, there we go. Next slide, please. Forward one slide. I think it went backwards. One more slide forward, please. Yep. There we go. All right. So this slide, we want to provide some further details of the recipients of the funds and kind of break it down, how we've put these funds to use. As you can see on the box at the furthest left, these are the fiscal year 24 expenditures, which come from the strategic fund. We've had 11 payments made, just to carry out. 10 payments were made from the strategic fund. We have one that we actually tapped into our capital budget to provide some infrastructure support. Of the 10 strategic fund, we'll just say 11 payments total made. 8 of those payments were minority-owned businesses. Of the 8, 6 were Black-owned businesses, and 2 were minority-owned, but not Black or Hispanic. The businesses that you see with red font are the minority-owned businesses on the list. So throughout the slide, any business that you see in red is minority-owned. The total that we've made to date, total payments made, totals $276,000. All right, and then moving from left to right to the next box, encumbrances, so payments that we've made an agreement on, but we haven't executed a payment, or we've done a partial payment so far, totals roughly $215,000, which we expect to be paid out over this current fiscal year, for a total of expenditures and encumbrances, as we saw in the previous slide, to tie it back to that, of $491,000. The pipeline businesses, again, these pipeline businesses in the furthest right box are businesses that we've had discussions with, and I have some semblance of what an agreement would entail, what the level of need is, and sort of what how we can match their needs to the products and services we provide, totals roughly $175,000. I know that the question was raised about Evelyn's Restaurant, and I have had discussions with them. I think the last we spoke, which was before the holidays, there was still some uncertainty about it was kind of out of their hands regarding the ownership of the building, which was the building was being sold, and they weren't sure if the new owners would continue to.
Mr. Williams, what business is that? Where the building's being
This is
sold?
Evelyn's Restaurant
Evelyn's,
on
okay.
Market Street. So there's still some uncertainty there, but I have been in touch with them. We have a line of communication. I'll be following up with them now that we're through the holidays and back in the office. But we're waiting for some things to be answered there before we can determine how we can best help them. They were interested in exploring some other locations. So depending on where those land, we'll determine how we can.
Okay. Mr. Williams, I believe Councilmember Darby has a question. Councilmember Darby?
Yes, I do have a question. Do you have this broken down by district and the percentage of each district in regards to the amount of businesses in that district?
I'm sure I can add that information and provide it to you, Councilmember.
Yeah, I just think that I'm not looking for equal because I know that some districts have more business districts than others, but based on the percentage of business districts, it should match with the funding. Like it should be equitable, not equal, but equitable across the city. And I know that we have been talking since I've been on city council about the support in my district because there used to be none, but there are a few, so that has been progress. But I just want to make sure, looking at those numbers, that it's an equitable distribution of money throughout the districts based on not, I should get 10, you should get 10, you should get 10, but based on the percentage of the business district of each district.
Yeah, I mean, today it's based on need. If we have a business that comes to us, regardless of what district they're in, we'll talk with them, try to assess what the need is and determine, how we can help. We really don't consider where they're based. To your point, council member, there's an obvious concentration of businesses in certain, in the central business district in town, and they're, I think, naturally going to have more activity. But we do, try to spread, the support as much as possible. But yeah, we don't have any strategy to disperse the support based on districts.
Yes, and I just want to follow up from that there was not a focus on the second district until I put a highlight on it. So there was never, and there were businesses who needed help who said they had reached out and wasn't getting it. So I don't want that was not the narrative, and we also can look at the city and see where the focus has been. So we can't deny that either. So thank you.
Okay, all right. And Co-Chair McCoy has a question, I believe, for you, Director.
Yes, Dr. Williams, so my question is, now the DDD has basically, because it is continuous, that is kind of one of the reasons why Westside Grows whatever is not on here. But DDD, since we've actually started to stretch it further into North, I guess that would be considered North Wilmington, off of Market Street, had any of the funds actually started to be concentrated there at all? Had any of those types of businesses along the Market Street corridor as we leave the downtown area, where we've now started to look at the downtown development district? Have you heard anything from that area? I guess this would be part of Councilman Darby's and Councilwoman Oliver's area.
So I think that our office certainly has an interest in including businesses from the expanded area. So far, I'm not aware of anything, any applications that have come in from that area, but we do have every intention of helping to market the program in that new area. We did host Councilmember White, who pointed out some businesses in his district that we're interested in getting more familiar with, creating a line of communication and marketing program too. So there's more to come, but I know that it's very fresh. The expansion really just happened a couple.
Yeah,
couple
and I
months
also
back.
want to add that the latest large project reservation round, this is round 16 of the DDD, has opened in late November and is currently open until February 27th. So that's the time to get applications in, and this is the first round that has opened since the application, since the boundaries have changed. We're looking for large projects in the queue. We're being active with mailers for any permits that meet the criteria of qualifying for the incentive, and working with state planning to maybe get more small projects in the queue. So that's projects that are above 25,000, under 350,000 in qualified investments.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. And Chief of Staff Washington, I see you with your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to mention, because we haven't talked about it much related to the DDD, that actually home renovations do qualify for DDD funds. And I believe that you have to spend somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 or 25,000. I don't know, Sean or James, if you know that number right off?
25.
25,000. So you can get reimbursement towards your home renovation projects through the DDD if you're in that qualifying track.
Something that we're missing on the west side.
Yeah, so you made me feel worse, Chief of Staff.
Sorry.
All right, that's all, but we'll continue to work on that. All right, thank you. I think now I'll kick it to public comment. Does it any public comments? I do see a member here in person, so thank you for coming. If you have public comment, please step up to the podium and give your name. And then I'll have a final round for council members.
Hello, my name is Helen Furman, and we've done a project in the DDD, Downtown Development District, and we filled out all the paperwork and got some of our money back for all the money we put into the development, and it worked fairly well. I'm not saying you didn't have to jump through a lot of hoops, spend a lot of hours on the paperwork, so there were some blocks. But as far as feeling encouraged to have a small business in 19801 on the west side and in Quaker Hill and so forth, I just got I know you might find this hard to believe, but I'm a minority business owner. I just don't look like it, maybe, or maybe I do look like it because I'm so old. But we're minority. We started our business after my husband retired and we returned to Wilmington. And I don't feel that our small business is welcome in the city of Wilmington. And I'll tell you why. I just got a bill for my business license, $300. And I got told that each unit that I have from which I make money is going to be another $75. So there's a mixed message going on. I mean, I am thrilled that these folks are working with small businesses to bring them in to the riverfront area and to the downtown development district, and all that is great. But as a minority business owner, I called finance today to ask them for a discount on the price of a business license. I think, if you want minority businesses in here, the fees and the taxes and all the blockages, you have to work with that. I say bring in the numbers, bring in the number of businesses, but lower, those fees and the taxes and all the things that are going to break them down and return the area to blight, because that's what we're fighting. We're fighting blight. And as far as what an ambulance costs, I couldn't help but notice 20,000 runs of an ambulance. We have only 70,000 people. That's a pretty big percentage of runs. And so you know as well as I do that the cost of shootings is going into the cost of those ambulances. That's the elephant in the room. We've got to clean it up here to grow our businesses. But I just do thank you, gentlemen, for the work you're doing. It's thrilling to see the map, you know, it is. Thank you. And I hope, council folks, that you will hear my cry about my expensive bill that I just got for my business license. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other members of the public here for public comment in person or Zoom? Okay. All right, now I'm going to turn it back to council for any final comments or questions for Director Park.
Councilwoman Harley?
I believe Vice Chair Harley, you're up next.
I have my hand up. I put it down because it was about UDAG, and I believe that UDAG is coming out on one of the upcoming slides.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. Well, I want to thank you very much, Director Park, Mr. Ware, Mr. Williams. Thank you for your whole team, small but mighty team, for providing us for updates. So again, we'll do this on a periodic basis, just so we can get updates maybe every quarter to continue to find out the good news progress and to find out how, again, we can help on council by directing any small business, minority business to you, or businesses we know that are coming into town or thinking about coming. We always can pass intel along. So thank you very much for the hard work of your team.
Thank you. We appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. May I?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
I just want to say thank you also, and also I would like to encourage, because I got a chance to see one of your presentations through Teams, I think. And so I would like to encourage, to all of the different community and civic associations here within the city of Wilmington, that you need to be informed. There is a team meeting that the Economic Development Group is trying to reach out to all of those in the city about what is actually coming forward when it comes to the South Market Street plan. And so they want to make certain that everyone has an understanding. It is important that you do, because you don't want to be surprised or find out something later and feel like you didn't know. And when I got on that meeting, it was something I was aware, but not as aware. So I really would suggest that you answer these emails, or whoever's trying to reach out to you, to put together this meeting so that you can actually ask the questions, because it's important to you, Wilmington. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. And with that, we have concluded the finance portion of the agenda. So I'll pass it on to save the best for last. I'll pass on my co-chair, Councilmember McCoy, and she will carry us home.
I won't go home. Okay. Thank you so much. I said, Chair. Yes, thank you so much, Chairman Johnson. All right, now we're ready for public safety. Okay. Chief Campos, hold on. Let me find yours so we can help you get out of here as quickly as possible. All right, I think that you are the very next. Okay. So, Chief Campos, we have a resolution regarding the Wilmington Police Department commencing on Academy class. If you please speak to this matter.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. We're asking for the beginning of a 103rd Academy class. Our authorized strength is 312. We're currently standing at 288, and that's with the recent graduation of 7 recruits this past Friday. That brought us up to 288. So we've passed the threshold of the 5%, which is roughly gets us down to about 296. And like I stated earlier, we're currently at 288.
Okay. I'm sorry, you said you just passed the threshold. How many, wait a minute. So if we got 7 recruits, when did we pass the threshold?
Yeah, so the 5% from 312 is roughly around 296, and we're currently at 288. 288, yes.
Okay. All right. Did anyone else from council had any questions? Okay, Councilman Spadola, you had a question.
Thank you, Councilmember McCoy. Good evening, Chief. Just a question on, I see a lot of departments in Delaware, they're offering signing bonuses, they're offering take-home cars, they don't have a residency requirement, or at least a more lenient one, whether it's within the confines of the county or the entire state. Your last academy, you were only able to hire 7. Are you more optimistic this time, despite those and if so, how come?
Yes, good evening, Councilman Spadola. I am more optimistic and more confident that I think we're starting to see that turn coming out of the pandemic where people are starting to ask about positions in the profession of the policing industry. When it comes to bonuses and things of that nature, from talking to my counterparts throughout the state, it's really difficult to really measure if they're working or not, because if you've seen some departments locally have started out with a $10,000 or $15,000 sign-on bonus, and then that didn't help, so they moved it up to $25,000. And sometimes what that does, it creates friction among the police officers that you currently have, because what are you doing for them if you're just doing lateral transfers from other departments? So it's almost a catch-22. I haven't seen it from talking to my counterparts that has actually helped them in their recruitment, but it's something that we have discussed.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, Councilman Johnson.
And again, I know the different departments. I see advertisements all over, billboards. Philadelphia Police Department, they just talked about, they start at 61,000. I think I just saw a commercial. So is there is Wilmington now with the salary upgrades? Are we competitive, at least with those jurisdictions? Again, I understand they have other incentives, but salary-wise, are we at least on par now?
Salary-wise, we're starting to fall behind a little bit as years go by, in the competition for the small number of group of individuals who are interested in this profession. Departments are starting to compete against each other. So when their contracts are coming up, they're offering more and more financially to be able to get ahead of the next department and make it more attractive for that department. So right now, I think our last contract was roughly about 2.5, 3 years ago, and I know that they have a contract coming up this year with the city.
Yeah. Okay. Councilman Darby?
Yes, I'm sorry. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So no, I just wanted to state that there is policescorecard.org, which collects data on our police department. It talks about the number of officers per 1,000 K in population, and it compares police departments within the state of Delaware. And one of the things with the data that they say is that there's more police officers per population than 99% of departments. And of course, it's not like 2023 data. The last reporting was in 2022. But I don't think we're that far off in regards to understanding that we're actually compared to all the other departments in our state. And then also when you compare it nationwide, we have more officers per population that's needed. We also talk about more police funding per capita than 99% of departments based on our population size. So I really think the focus should not be on another police academy. The focus need to be on the internal or external audit that needs to happen to improve the police department. When you look at the data and the police scores of police violence by race, deadly force by armed status, deadly force, total civilian complaints, the arrests by year, the homicides that's unsolved, the arrests for low offense crimes, the disparities in arrests for low offense crimes, where Black people are 4.2 times more likely and Latinx people are 1.7 times more likely to be arrested for low-level nonviolent offenses than a white person here, right? So there's a lot of work that y'all need to do internally before you guys get more funding to be overfunded and over-policed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I didn't know whether or not there's any other questions, but I have one as well. All right, so Chief, 288 is what you actually have. Tell me how many of your 288 is actually uninjured and capable of working?
It's roughly it changes weekly because of FMLA and injuries and so forth. And so right now it's about 15 currently that we have that are unavailable for service.
Okay, so, all right, so yeah, 15. So that's 273. All right, so out of the 273, because of I'm just trying to get an understanding of who's where, only because when I look at my sector, it doesn't look like it's a lot of people out, but we have this many officers. So I'm just trying to get an understanding. So we're looking at 273 as, I guess you said it flexes back and forth of what our working officers who's capable of working at this moment. Out of that 273, what does a sector look like on a shift, and how many hours is a shift?
The shifts are 11-hour shifts. We have 2 shifts. One starts at 6 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m., and the other one starts at 4 p.m. and goes to 7 a.m. And that's a split shift.
And that's a split shift, okay.
Yes.
And so out of the split shift, and we have like, what, 3 sectors?
We have 3 sectors, yes.
Okay, and so how many officers per, like, I know it may probably, fluctuate between like peak hours or whatever. What's the, what's the average?
It all depends on any given day on a patrol shift. That's not including like community engagement officers and investigators and so forth and so on. Patrol officers available for calls for service to answer 911 is roughly anywhere from 20 to 30.
Okay. All right. I just felt like people needed to have, with the number being as high as it is, we needed to have more of an understanding of what the shifts look like, how many people are actually out during. We've divided the city into 3 different sectors, and how many police officers are out in each sector during each shift, just so that everyone has an understanding of what we're dealing with. All right. So, and then I'm sorry, and then one last question was attrition. How many do you expect to be leaving soon?
Right now, currently, we have about 64 that are eligible to retire as of today, with another, I believe, 10 available or coming up on retirement in this July of 2024.
Well, that's, 64 that could. Who do we think is leaving?
Yeah, so this past year, we've had about 3 or 4 officers leave to other departments throughout the state.
Okay.
And throughout the region, as well as to the federal partners as well, the FBI and so forth and so on, so.
Okay. So retention is an issue as well. Not so much attrition as in people who are retiring, but, they've maybe found other opportunities.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Councilman Jones.
I actually don't have a question.
Okay. All right. So, well, thank you so much for answering a few of the questions that were popping in my head. As Councilwoman Darby, she made her statement, and we have heard this many times about how many officers we've had. How many we have compared to our number here, the population here for the city of Wilmington. So I just wanted to make certain people knew all of the numbers. This is a resolution, and I'm sorry, I'm going a little too fast. Is there anyone in public comment, anyone in the public who has a comment or a question? Anyone? Okay. All right, so this is a resolution, and it does not require it to be voted out of council. So we will be seeing this for a full council vote on January 18th? Okay. All right, so if there's nothing else you'd like to add, Chief, I thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, you have a great day.
Oh, I think there's a few other matters.
Oh.
There were. Almost there.
Oh, shoot.
The grants.
I was.
But it's getting late.
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm sliding down the wall now. Okay, so the next one is the resolution approving the police department's grant application to the state of Delaware Special Law Enforcement Assistance Fund to purchase new equipment. Could you please speak to that matter, Chief?
Yes, it's this is funds that are, does not have any matching funds. This is for equipment that we're asking for. One is for a laser measuring system or an instrument that would allow our forensics unit on serious assaults and homicides to be able to do computerized digital measurements at a crime scene, which will help in their investigative prosecution of those cases.
Okay.
Currently, we're doing it by hand, measuring by hand, measuring with the wheel, and doing sketches, manually.
Okay. So we're going to get up to date. We're going to improve our technology.
I hope so.
All right. Okay, does anyone have any questions about this grant? Okay, seeing none, nothing from the public? All right, okay, well, this is a resolution, this grant is a resolution, and it does not need to be voted out of the committee. We will see it on the full council on January 18th as well.
Madam Chair, there was 2 other equipment things on there. Just want to make sure. There was a utility vehicle, I believe. No?
No, so this one was for 121, and it was a 56 and 50.
Yeah, it was 121 total for 3 different pieces of equipment.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you just described just the very first,
Yes.
the 56. Okay, so what was the 50 is the Gator utility vehicle.
Yeah, it's a utility vehicle. It's going to be marked like a police car with lights, and it's basically it's going to help out in the community with special events, special operations. As you know, we have some things coming up this year where we're going to be needing a vehicle that we seen from 4 years ago that could help out in certain situations to transport people as well as transport equipment and supplies to our officers who are on post while they're guarding the events that are going on.
Okay, say so. All right, and the 15,000 is for,
15,000 is for the purchase of 6 electric bicycles for our community engagement unit to be able to use in our communities. That'll give them an opportunity to not only be able to engage better than being in a vehicle, but also last a little bit longer when it's hot or cold outside. Motorized unit gives them the ability to traverse larger portions of the neighborhood throughout their shift.
okay. All right, Chief, will we see these pieces of equipment in any place other than downtown Wilmington and Riverfront?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, so as I stated again, this is a resolution that does not need to be voted out of the committee. We will bring it to a full vote in front of the full council on January 18th. The next item is, okay. All right, is a resolution urging the Delaware General Assembly, this mine? Yeah. The resolution urging the Delaware General Assembly to enact legislation to require parental civil liability for auto insurance deductible regarding motor vehicle crimes. Okay, so I will talk to this. I will speak to this. Now, I asked this to be drawn up because we've been having a surge of crime here within the city, which has been going on for some time. But now we're realizing that what's happening is it's minors who are taking part of most of these issues with our vandalism to the cars, the stealing of the cars, and things of that nature. And so with the minors, we do not want to penalize them for the rest of their lives when it comes to this, whatever it is that they're going through at this very moment. And I see what our Attorney General is trying to get across. But someone needs to be held responsible for all the damage that is being done here within the city. This is the reason why I asked that this piece of legislation is going to ask that any child who's actually being found, and I say child, meaning anyone 18 and under, or under 18 rather, is found guilty of the vandalism or theft of a car, whatever those things are, that their parent be responsible for paying the auto insurance deductible. That's what this resolution is for. I've asked for it to be drawn up. I felt as though I have had many constituents who have had their cars vandalized more than once. We've tried everything that we could to protect our own property, but it seems that it's to no avail. And it seems as though we're finding out who these children are, but yet it continues to happen. So we need the parents' help. And I don't know whether or not we've tried to have any type of intervention, but this was my idea to try to intervene. I do not want to see the people of the city who are hard workers, who because these children are bored or reckless, continue to get their things broken into, and they feel taken advantage of because car insurance is not going down. It is skyrocketed, and I've already talked to our insurance commissioner, Trinidad Navarro, and there was no real information he could give me. So this is about the best that I can do is to ask for the Delaware General Assembly to take a look at this and see how they can help us solve this issue. Yes.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Yeah.
Is the intent? This is very good. I guess my question is there the intent to be? We would add this to restitution because understanding, I think how the juvenile court works. If they pleaded guilty, I think restitution would be part of probably their sentence. So this would be adding on to the restitution, it would be that they pay this extra fee. Is that what the intent is?
So, the restitution is supposed to be, is that up to the 10,000?
Well, restitution is what the minor would be made. So if they break into a window, that will be part of their sentence, and the judge requires them to say, pay for the window.
Okay.
They have to pay, but the parent is still involved. So I'm just throwing it out there. We may want a slight language change where we say this is not including restitution that may already be court ordered.
All right, well, now I don't know whether or not you gotten a chance to take a look at this, and I definitely wanted to make certain that all those who felt as though they wanted something to add to this could. That's why I wanted to bring it to the committee, because I feel like this is something that's very important. And when I realized that we already had something in the state, I'm like, so what are we doing and how are we enforcing it? And that was the reason why I asked for this to be drafted. I do see that Councilwoman Darby has her hand up.
Yeah, so if you could explain this legislation and are you saying that if a juvenile breaks into my car, then we're gonna put the financial punishment onto the parent?
Yes. It's as simple as.
And that's gonna make the financial punishment is whatever the amount is for the window that's broken?
No, so I actually was not asking for the amount for the window that's broken. I was asking for whatever the auto insurance deductible was.
So whatever the auto insurance deductible is.
Right, so if it's cheaper to just pay for the window, then fine, so be it. But if you have, like, these cars are being, they are being stolen, and you're tearing off a door. It's more than just $200-300 to replace a window.
No, I get my car broken into too, and my packages, yes, they're gone. So it's happening in my area too. But
yeah,
just based on my understanding on financial punishments in regards to juvenile related offenses, they're not effective.
Okay.
Or they're ineffective in actually decreasing the actual crime. So the purpose of in my mind, right? A purpose of a bill or punishing someone, whatever that punishment may be, is to say that punishment works. And because I am now putting the fiscal burden on the family, now crime is going to decrease in my neighborhood, right? And so what I'm trying to say is that based on research and data that I know and I'm aware of, when we look at fiscal financial punishments for when someone, especially juveniles, do things in the criminal justice system, it does not lower crime rates. It actually causes a whole bunch of other issues, because most of the time, the people who are breaking into cars, the young boys around here, breaking into cars, they come from poor neighborhoods, right? So now you're asking a family who can barely put food on their table, right? Because most of them aren't breaking into these cars for fun. They're breaking in it to take stuff, right? So now you're asking a family. So it's like a trickle-down effect of poverty and a cycle when you add fiscal or financial punishments. And as someone who's familiar with fees and fines and just went through the whole program and learned so much about what other cities and states are doing, I don't know what the answer is to stop people from, or these young boys, young kids from breaking into cars. I think that actually is a deeper systematic answer to that. I don't know if that's a short-term thing, but I don't know if I do know for a fact that that's not going to help crime be reduced in our neighborhood, because you ask a kid who was breaking into a car for their family now to pay my deductible is $500. I wouldn't even want that, right? Honestly, I would just find a way to make sure I lock my car door or whatever. I know they break in windows, but I'll try my best to make sure that my car doesn't get broken. If it does, I'm not interested in that. I'm just personally not, and that has happened to me. My car has been broken into. They have taken things out of it, right? They take my packages off my porch, but I'm still not interested in that piece because I know it isn't effective in decreasing the crime. So yeah, that was just my only comment about the legislation. Okay. So I don't know what the answer is, but I just know that data does not back up that equates to decreasing juveniles breaking into cars because there's a fiscal punishment now on the parent.
Okay, so, thank you so much for your comment. I didn't know whether or not you had another, or did anyone else have a comment? Because I did want to answer that, and I do see that someone in the public, does want to speak to it. So, the reason why I made this decision, I do understand what you're saying, and and I actually tussled back and forth with it for a while. The reason why I made the decision is because we're coming to find out that many of the children who are breaking into the cars have already been caught breaking into the cars before. Whatever's happening, there is no intervention happening within the household. No one is intervening. No one is actually trying to help take some responsibility, like trying to set this child straight. And I felt as though by doing this, we take a stand stating that enough is enough. You have to get your child whatever help that they require. So I do hear what you're saying. I understand I do not want to punish people and make them pay more than they need if they are basically already impoverished. But what happens? How much are we supposed to continue paying when we have not done these things and these things are affecting us continuously? So I'm wondering, like, this is definitely going to be this is definitely going to take more than just a one shot in the arm to try to cure this, but something needs to happen, and it's progressively getting worse. So I'm more than happy to take whatever, if there's some data that you wanted to ship to me or whatever, send to me email-wise, whatever, I am fine to read it and take another look with our attorney before crafting up something different or whatever. But this is where I was going with this, because I needed to see some type of change, and I needed the parents to understand what was going on. If these children are already they've already been caught, or they've damaged something, they've already been in the system. This is mostly adjudicated youth being mischievous. And we're doing it over and over again because nothing happens. There's no type of, we don't see any real, any type of real, I don't want to say punishment, but there's no real reprimand for what is taking place. Okay. Yeah, Councilman Darby, I do see your hand up. Let me let our public comment make a statement first before I get back to our council members. Yes, ma'am. If you'd like to come speak, please come to the podium and introduce yourself again.
Again, I'm Helen Furman, and I live in zip code 19801. And our zip code has the highest rate of problems, safety issues, and children stealing cars and robbing and so forth. And I follow the police reports. I agree with you, Councilwoman, that it's rising, definitely, and especially with the children. My husband, in addition to our personal business, because we have been so vexed by the situation, we started a nonprofit called Neighbors United. And we are a safety organization with a two-pronged vision. And one of the visions is the all-day, year-round program mandated for 19801. That these kids don't have a choice. Truancy is immediately addressed. You start right there. The dropout rate, the school-to-prison pipeline, these boys are just on their way. And it's not the women's prison, but the men's prison is way overcrowded. Howard R. Young, okay? And there's a lot of catch and release with this attorney general, and they're released into my neighborhood where there's a containment prison. And the reason that his force has to grow. That's what he's up against. None of this is his fault. It's a bigger problem where it's the governor who tells the Department of Justice what to do. He doesn't want to add prison dormitories, okay? He wants to get reelected, okay, great. So it's a containment prison in our neighborhoods. What we envision, and what's feeding this so dramatically is Bancroft School and Bayard. Do you know what the proficiency scores in mathematics is at the Bancroft School? 3% out of 100. They're passed. First, second, third. By the time they get to 6th grade, they're not going to stay in school, would you, if you couldn't learn? I wouldn't. I'd act out. That's what they do. The proficiency in reading is 5.5%. It's posted. Go read it for yourself out on the Christina School District website. So one of the things we're doing right now at Neighbors United, and for which I did, thank you very much, get a $10,000 grant from Dr. Deborah Mason, the mini grant, is to intervene at Bancroft School and start sending those 8 and 9-year-olds to a great sleepaway camp up in Northwest New Jersey. A camp that deals with these inner city traumatized kids. Those parents, you're right on the money there. Make the parents pay, but they'll never pay, okay? I mean, she makes a point about the payment. Sure, the parents should care. They already don't, or they're too busy or stressed out or just not there. Their kids are neglected. So we need a mandate from, we need city council to go a little bit out of their area and start influencing the powers that be to have a mandate for an all-day year-round program. All-day year-round school, sports, cultural activities, trips, not babysitting. They go to babysitting for free at Howard, at Anderson Hicks until they are 9 or 10, but they're not going to go there anymore. No, Mom, I can take care of myself. I go out with so-so and so-so and all that. And and that a lot of the stealing.
Thank you so much, Ms. Herman. I'm sorry.
I know, but a lot of it is just criminal mischief.
Yes.
They're not after anything in the car.
Yes.
I hope you heard me.
I did, and I
Very
agree.
loud
And it
and
is, yes, I definitely agree. It's mostly just mischief, yes.
And
So thank you so much for giving us your comment.
I have a quick comment.
Okay. All right, Councilman Johnson.
Yes, I appreciate the public input, and I appreciate Council Member McCoy for the efforts, and also Councilmember Darby, as I've been on this field on the advocacy side about justice reform, and what is this going to help? I don't know. I think it's really an overlap with restitution that already exists on the books that the judges should enforce. But I don't know if it's necessarily harmful, and may not have a difference. But I see it, as gestures towards making efforts. This is a larger systemic problem. I think as the public has already input, this is something that falls into the city of Wilmington's lap, falls into our law enforcement officers' lap. This is their deep systemic issues that have existed since, crack hit the streets in the 80s. We have families that don't have resources, lack of investment in education. That's why on city council, we made a point of 108 to even get the Dr. Deborah Mason to work on a collective. And we've had double-digit crime reduction in the sectors in which that program and the call-outs and stuff have been happening. So, there has been progress. This is, I don't know what this is going to do, but it may not be harmful, maybe overlap, but that's why the only language suggestion I might make, and I can send to the sponsors, that this be inclusive of any restitution that's already court ordered. Because I think, again, from my knowledge of the juvenile system, it would already be included in restitution if they paid, if they do pay. And if restitution, they are court mandated to pay, they actually do have to pay, or they can get sent back. So, that's a little carrot right there. But again, the problem is deep systemic issues that we can't solve today on council, but we appreciate, the efforts trying to help.
Okay. Thank you. Councilman Darby, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I had this one last comment. So actually, they said this is a systemic issue from crack. This is also actually a systemic issue from the enslavement of Black people. So it starts there. But I just think it's unfair to make a comment about parents not caring. I think it's a very complicated thing. I think it's not just parents not caring. I don't think it's just mischief. I think it's survival. The debt will never get paid. It's not something I'm making up. you got to look at the data, the research. That's why it's so key and important to always have data and research that back up what you're saying and what you're doing. But I think if you want to move forward with this, you cannot argue that it's going to drop crime, because the research shows that it's not going to reduce crime. Most debt from courts cannot be paid and don't get paid. And my recommendation would be to work with the fees and fines group, not the one that is working on parking and water, but there's a whole nother fees and fines group, which is statewide. They're working on equitable fees and fines in the court system. They had 2 big reforms over the last 5-10 years on the state of Delaware, and finding ways of making sure that fees and fines in the court systems, especially for juveniles, are fair, make sense, and they're effective, right? We don't want to just pass things just to pass it, like, I don't know if it's going to impact the community or not. You can't just say things like that. You have to back up what you're saying with research, with information in the community. You can't just say, oh, I don't know, it might impact, it might not, and you're a legislator. That's like unacceptable, and it's disheartening. But
Okay,
I
Councilwoman
don't
Darby.
think that
Point of order.
you can't. I'm talking.
No,
So
point of
I'm about
order.
to end it up. I'm talking. So like I said, you can reach out with the work fees and fines who work with the court system. I didn't cut you off, so don't cut me off. Have a good night.
Good night. All right, so I did not know whether or not this has been made clear, but this restitution was not about a child or a minor having to pay this. This was strictly to the parent or guardian of the minor or the child should be liable. But I hear what you're stating, and when it comes to the data, whatever that is required, if there's more that you need to send, then please do so. But in the meantime, as our deductibles and our rates are going up every 6 months, because I can't afford to pay mine one full whopping a year, every 6 months, and I haven't had a speeding ticket or anything in more than 5 years, but because everyone else is getting their cars and stuff broken into, I am suffering. We need, if there's something that you wish to do, if there's some task force you wish to put together to try to address what's happening with our young people, then I would suggest you have that conversation with me. This is the only thing that I could come up with making certain that the parents understand that they are responsible for what's happening with their minor, any parent or guardian. So this is what I came up with. So this does not have to go to the, because there's still so much tension with this resolution, this doesn't have to go to the full floor on Thursday, on the 18th, and I'm willing to listen to more what people have to say, but I wanted to make certain that I got a chance to talk about this, because this is something important. I feel as though it's not being addressed. It has to be addressed. And I don't want to do another year task force while everything goes up, while we try to figure out what's next. All right, so on to the next resolution. A resolution approving the Office of Emergency Management grant application to the Delaware Emergency Management Agency for funds allocated pursuant of the fiscal year 2023 Emergency Management Performance Grant. Chief, will you be speaking to this?
No, ma'am.
Oh, cool.
If WITN can make Chief Patrick a panelist,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry for that.
Yeah, because I'm like, who's speaking to?
WITM?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Would you please make certain that we can hear Director Patrick?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yeah.
can now.
There you go. Yes, ma'am. Let's see.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you wouldn't mind, Director Patrick, just a moment. Chief Campos, if If you were completed, I didn't want to hold you if you.
Thank you, man.
I'm sorry, just realizing, I'm like, is he waiting to be dismissed?
Thank you.
No problem.
Have a good
I
night.
said, you have a good evening. All right, thank you so much, Director Patrick.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the opportunity to present our grant application for the fiscal year 23 Emergency Management Performance Grant. The MPG is a grant that we use annually to augment or supplement the operation of the Office of Emergency Management. We're we requested $245,000 to match the funds that are allocated by the City of Wilmington to operate the Office of Emergency Management. The performance period for this grant, October the 1st, 2022, and to June 30th, 2025. There is a 50% match, but it's an in-kind match. The matching funds come from my salary, from our MS&E, so there's no additional funds that need to be allocated to meet the match requirement for this grant. So in essence, there's no fiscal impact for the grant. Like I said, performance period is 3 years. Because you know how the federal government works, it works on October the 1st, fiscal year October 1 to September 30th. And this grant always seems to run behind our fiscal years. This is really the grant matches the matching funds came from our fiscal year 24, the city's fiscal year 24, but it's the federal government's fiscal year 23. So that is and like I said, this is a grant that we use, that we apply for every year to supplement our city funds. We currently have a EMPG 21 and an EMPG 22, which are getting ready to expire. So, and the way the grant works, I buy whatever we allocate the funds for. We purchase that, or we enter into those services, and then we submit reimbursements to DEMA and FEMA for a 50% reimbursement of those funds. So that's the MPG.
Okay. All right, thank you, Director Patrick. So, I'm sorry, you did state that there is a 50% required
Match.
Right. But this
Yeah.
is not an annual thing, this is every,
It is annual.
oh, this is?
It's annual. But the match comes from funds that's already budgeted in the budget. It comes from my salary. That's part of the match. The funds that are allocated for MS&E, that's part of the match. So for personal services and MS&E, that's the match. Those are the match requirements for this grant. So it's not like you have to find an additional $245,000 to match this grant. No, it's already been allocated to our operating budget.
All right, thank you. All right, does anyone have any questions about this resolution? Okay. All right, anyone on the public on Zoom? Okay, because there's no one left here. All right, thank you so much, Director Patrick. This resolution does not require to be voted out of committee. It can go before the full committee on January 18th, okay? All right. So, I believe that will be all then. If there's anything else that you wish to add?
No, just go Eagles. That's all.
Oh, poor baby.
Big fight.
Poor
Long
baby.
fight. We have to keep the faith.
That's right. That's right, man.
Uh-huh.
Y'all hilarious. Okay, so that I would just state that that is all for our public safety meeting and the joint commission. Yes, this was the joint finance. That was a long one. All right, so and I'm a little tired. So if there's nothing else, then I would like to. Oh, let me go back and make sure. I do
We would entertain a motion to adjourn. They're so moved.
Second. There's no one left on the Zoom.
All right.
Oh,
It's
how y'all
properly
gonna
moved and
abandon
seconded it. The joint public safety finance meeting has concluded, and we see everyone in February. Thank you.
Right.